funding. Brent Hunsaker will be joined by Betsy Russell from the Idaho Press, and together they'll be talking to representatives about this very important issue. Well, Idaho's education funding is currently undergoing a total reconstruction of what is a decades-old system. And CBS 2's Haley Kramer is here with a breakdown of this current funding formula and the work being done to actually change it.
Well, legislation for Idaho's funding formula has been in the work for around 3 years, and the lawmakers are now working to address concerns with the formula's first draft. Now, the goal is to replace a system that state officials say is now only used by a handful of states.
The biggest issue right now is the public school funding formula.
Right now, funding is based on student attendance.
And we want to move from basing funding on attendance to a student enrollment. And so bodies in the classroom, basically, not how many times a kid shows up for school.
This video, used by the Public School Funding Formula Interim Committee, explains how much Idaho education has changed since the current funding formula system was put into place.
Idaho's current funding formula was developed decades ago, when every student attended their brick-and-mortar neighborhood school for the full school day.
Over the years, changes have been made to address new ways of learning and increased student mobility. But each time a change was made, it became more complicated.
Under current law, Idaho's funding formula is a complicated web of 35 different state line items, each of which comes with its own set of rules, regulations, and mandates.
Very confusing. It's very complex, and it's about 20 years old, and so it's time for an update.
In the most simplified terms, under a student-centered funding formula,
every district receives a base amount of funding per student. The more students a district educates, the more money the district receives.
During a planned listening session, superintendents, teachers, parents, and education officials presented their comments and concerns about the 59-page draft legislation to lawmakers on the Idaho House and Senate Education Committees. And many stressed the importance of taking the time to address each concern.
Whatever the legislature passes will be in place for the next generation or two of students to come through. And how we fund our schools is too important of an issue to not get right.
Senate Education Committee Chairman Dean Mortimer said he expects new funding legislation to be introduced in the following weeks after the committees work through the suggested changes.
Now you can watch the town hall live with Brent Hunsaker and his guests streaming on our website, idahonews.com.